Hey everybody, how you doing today? So, just watching the news, the latest reports, and really thankful for video cameras, right? For cell phone cameras. Have we woken up yet? All the cameras show is those that look like me, predominantly black young men. I'm sure there's some women there. Let's keep it equitable, right? You got all these companies being looted, and looting is not a racist word at all. It's not. Don't be tricked into believing that. The Democratic ideology loves to play the semantic game. It's not that the Republican ideology doesn't do that either, but let's just keep it focused on why we are here. So, the outcry had been, and still is erroneously, well, we want to keep, black men and even some black women out of jail. Oh, let's not forget the browns, right? Because we want to keep it equitable. And the yellows and the, whatever else color you want to think of. So ridiculous. Black Lives Matter, the organization, stoked the fires of inequity, of racism, of white supremacy. And what do we have in our cities? Largely ran by Democratic ideology. Not that cities or states that are ran with a conservative ideology don't have their problems too, because they do. But let's keep it central and focused. I live in California. I'm from Alaska. There's no more black people in Alaska. Well, that's not true, because actually Alaska is one of the most diverse states in our nation, interestingly enough. Uh, Predominantly because of the military that brings so many up, and it's a beautiful state. So people decide to stay. That's how my parents originally got up there. So, you see that? Trying to steal my spotlight. That little moth or whatever it was. So I live in California, and California is ran predominantly horrifically because of the nuisance of a governor we have that is greedy in his pockets. He harms the vast majority of people, regardless of what ideology they carry, to live their life and govern their own lives by. The governor here does not care about the humanity of the people here. He only cares about his deep pockets and gaining and keeping power. He does not care that it is predominantly black men that are smashing and grabbing. I mean, looting. Let's call it what it is, right? That are looting these low-end companies, high-end companies as well, that in a lot of ways fund the lifestyle of these cities such as San Francisco. People come to this state still to vacation because, granted, California is a beautiful state. It is. It's a very beautiful state, not more beautiful than Alaska. But it's a beautiful state. People want to come for various reasons. And more of those people that are coming to California to vacation or see family are getting stuck up. By whom? Predominantly young men that look like me. Thugging. Just thugging along because they've been told and given a pass by the Democratic ideology that says you deserve reparations, you're oppressed, and it is the white man that's oppressing you, and it's white supremacy that has kept you down, and you just deserve anything you want. And so they're getting it. They're looting and taking it by violence. This is not the way. This is not the way. You know, words do mean something. And it should tell you something. Surely tells me something that anybody could be a white supremacist now. It used to be the idea that only white people could be white supremacists. I could be a white supremacist. The Asian guy could be a white supremacist, or a lady, or whoever. Anybody could be a white supremacist because it's this idea that brings the connotation of evil, they're nefarious. 99% of the people, if you ask them, what is a white supremacist, what is a racist, they're not going to be able to tell you. Because they're being led by their emotional pursuit for something that they, one, did not earn, have no right to, and two, keeps them oppressed in their mind. The idea, if I were to go out and steal and loot and rob, and then for whatever reason I got caught and there was a cop still bold enough to arrest me, in an hour or two I'd be out like that. I could do it all over again, and let's just say I go out and do it again, and there's a citizen that stands up, says, no, you will not, which more citizens should do that. And I take their life. I'd be back out again. No problem. Because I'm black. Because I'm supposedly oppressed. Because supposedly I need reparations, and I'm only doing what I should be doing by terrorizing others in the community. You see, we got this idea that POC, we have to abbreviate everything, make it sound cool, right? POC, I'm a POC. Person of color, or people of color. Like, there's all these firsts that our government is saying, well, it's the first person of color here, and first person of color there, and first person of color there. If you read your history, there's already been our first. And we are putting them to shame. Because a lot of the first persons of color in Congress, in Senate, that were in high positions, doctors, lawyers, a lot of them were slaves too. They had and got their freedom. Predominantly because of the Republican side, who sought to abolish slavery and who sought to walk and work alongside other black men and women in some cases, so that not only we would become who our greatest potential could be, but is. Quite honestly, it was the Democrats that lead by the Democratic ideology that only sought to keep oppression, that only sought to keep slavery of both the mind and the body. It's the same playbook. It's the same playbook after all these hundreds of years. The Democratic ideology is leading both urban and suburban, blacks and browns, to think that something is just so owed to you that smashing and grabbing and looting and thieving and thriving in that kind of situation is just the way to go. You know what that's called? Black supremacy. It's just a reverse racism. Blacks think they're superior because of oppression. And if I'm superior because of my ancestors' oppression, I am not oppressed, you're not oppressed. You're oppressed in mind. If I believe that I'm superior because of oppression, it's a supremacy. It is a black supremacy. While you walk out and say, well, I don't like white supremacists, ... You don't even know what that is. So let's focus on the issue in the black community. This black supremacy. Blacks in America today, predominantly, not all, but you can definitely point out the vast majority, are more racist than any whites are now in the history of America. And it's sad because black supremacy is an oppression that is a cancer in the black community. You will never reach your full potential if all you can think that your potential is to be a person fighting against oppression, and all the while thinking that someone else is oppressing you beside your very own self. You, black man and woman, are the oppressor. You are the supremacist. It is you who tear up your communities and thrive off of thievery. It is you who destroy your economy in your communities while crying for equality and equity. It is you that are destroying a brighter future for yourself, for your family, and those who will come into the future, and disgracing those who fought so hard for us to be where we are in America. It is you, black man and woman, black community, who go along with this oppressive narrative and act it out in ignorance. You are a disgrace. But you don't have to be. You very well could change your mindset and ideology if you would only sit and listen and watch and read. Read both sides. Don't just drink down the Kool-Aid that comes from a democratic ideology. And let's stop personifying the ideology. When we look at people and say, well, they're a Democrat or they're a Republican or whatever they may claim. You want to personify an ideology and not speak to the man or woman who is an American first, black, white, or other, to sit down and have conversations. Because I do believe, to a degree, that you want to have a better day, that you want to see successes in your life, and to get either out of your situation that is oppressive for sure in the mind. I do believe that there's a desire for that. But black community, we're going about it all the way wrong. You have been lied to. And it does not matter if the Democratic ideology is coming from a white man or a black man or a white woman or a black woman. It is an ideology that is oppressive and enslaving. When will you decide to stop tearing up your own community? All it really is going to bring is more suffering, more crime, more death, more oppression. As I watch these videos and this news and the different things, the looting, the robberies, there's specks of white in those videos. It's predominantly black. How about we stop blaming everyone else and take responsibility for yourself? Black man, if you are laying down with women left and right and bastardizing generation after generation, breaking heart after heart, why don't you grow up and stop creating death? This is what you're doing. You are creating death. How? Because if you are lying down to get down and have a good time with these ladies that you so fashionably call hoe or thought or bitch or whatever else, why don't you stop? You devalue yourself while devaluing these beautiful women. You are to be a protector, not a destroyer. And though, yes, you may have had it rough, in your situation, maybe it hasn't been the best. Maybe your father bastardized you and walked away from your mother. Maybe your mother was hoeing and just being loose. That's true too. Because it's not just the men, it is also the women. But how about you change the narrative by first changing your ideology? What is leading you in life? You can either lead by death or seek to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of justice. Your pursuit of justice should first be not to become what you came from, that tears down your communities, tears you down, and offers nothing but death and oppression. How? If you feel that you have no one, seek them out. They are around. Men that will walk with you. I am one of them. I came from a situation that wasn't as likely as I would have liked, but it has not stopped me. We must stand tall and decide not to be the victim, even if you have been victimized. I've been victimized, yes, but I also have been the victimizer too. You have to think differently. If you do not, it will just lead to death. It will lead you to death, and you will be leading death in creating it. But I don't think deep down here is what you want. I do believe you want better. I do believe that here you think you have better when you're looting, rioting, stealing, thieving, killing, and bastardizing generation after generation. It doesn't have to be that way. And for the black men and brown men that don't do these things. You and we do indeed have to hold a higher standard, but we must not walk away from these communities that look like us. We must hold a standard and demand a standard while saying, I will show you better, and so that you can do better and be better. Don't let the Democratic ideology fool you. Don't let the Republican ideology fool you either. You become a man and be a man who is a protector, a provider, a deep lover, an innovator, and a humble leader. Black Lives Matter, the organization, does not care about you. They do not care about me. They do not, at all. When you decide to wake up and realize that, it'll be a bit easier. Because all that Black Lives Matter, the organization, the majority, really desire to do is bring death. They do not care about you or I. It's time to wake up. It's time to walk away. It's time to do better and to become better. Stop creating death. You have so much more to live for than that.